This is Code Red.
Guys, you're listening to the Code Red podcast. I'm Shubh.
And this is Parthib.
And this is the Manchester United podcast where we look at player ratings, tactics, and match analysis, and other cool content. Today we're looking at Manchester United's 3-1 win over Newcastle in the Premier League.
So this is right off the bat from the 4-0 win in the round of 32 against Real Sociedad. So we had a 30th minute Marcus Rashford beauty, and then Alan St. Maximin made 1-1 in the 36th minute. The Daniel James with a nice shot on goal in the 57th to score, and Bruno Fernandes wrapping it off with a 75th minute penalty, per usual. So let's take a look at the United lineup. We got the standard 4-2-3-1. David De Gea in goal, Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire center backs, Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka as left and right back. Holding midfielders, we had Fred and Matic. Then in the midfield, we had Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford on the left, Daniel James making an appearance on the right side, and then Anthony Martial up front. Then on the other side of things, we saw 4-3-1-2 for Newcastle. Darlow in goal, Lascelles and Clark as center backs, Lewis and Kraft as left and right back. Then midfield, we had Jonjo, Voldemort, Shelvey on the left, Hayden in the center, Wilcock on the right, and then as an attacking midfielder, there's Miguel Almiron, the Paraguayan. And up front, we had Alan St. Maximin and Joelinton coming in for the injured Callum Wilson. So everything looks pretty standard as far as United. Just the addition of Daniel James, who has been in good form since the Sociedad game, and put in a great shift today, as well as Fred and Matic. And I think that was a pretty good pairing. I think Matic was able to distribute the ball quite well, and Fred was able to support Lindelof on counterattacks by Newcastle.
Yeah, I think all of our holding midfields do have different strengths. I think we kind of knew Newcastle weren't going to put too much pressure on us. Like, yes, Newcastle did score and they had a couple good chances, but it wasn't really a constant threat by Newcastle. Like, we were able to handle it well. And obviously with the Chelsea and City games coming up, I think it was a good idea to rest McTominay and not risk an injury. But also, as you said, Matic, he was able to kind of set the tempo, and if he was able to as you said, distribute the ball properly, and he did provide some sense of stability. I think McTominay can do that, but his strengths lie more in the placing the ball forward and pushing forward. So I think in that aspect we did lack a bit. There were times when we would have maybe 2 or 3 against Newcastle's 5. And it wasn't really a strong clear-cut attack, so we would just pass the ball around until our center backs would push to a higher line. But yeah, I think United overall controlled the game. They were clean, but it wasn't as they could have taken more risks, more chances. They didn't really have anything to lose, so I think they could have maybe pressed a bit more on the gas pedal.
Yeah, I think the first half, Newcastle was initially pressing pretty hard. It did kind of drop off, like we saw, in the first 10 minutes. They forced an error out of De Gea, which honestly had a lot more space than it seemed, and he just threw it straight at, I think it was Joelinton or St. Maximin. Got unlucky there, but at the same time pretty lucky, didn't go in. Lindelof was getting pressured pretty hard back there, and Maguire was stepping up pretty high up, so it did help with Fred being able to come back and cover Lindelof's position, because St. Maximin and Almiron are fast dudes. They can sprint really hard, so it's really helpful to have Fred there.
He burned Lindelof.
Yeah, he destroyed Lindelof there, but I also think that Daniel James wasn't making as many good runs down the right, just spreading the play wide, like we saw in the Sociedad game. The very last goal, they were able to spread Sociedad super far wide and really expose them there, and Daniel James got his goal off there. I think if they were able to spread the ball, play more, and maybe do a quick switch, they could have helped them. At the same time, you were saying they did have to wait a lot. I think Bruno Fernandes' creativity was at an all-time low today. He wasn't able to pick out too many great passes, but I do think Anthony Martial was doing a pretty good job of holding up the play, but didn't really amount to anything in the end of it.
Yeah, I think just adding on to what you said about Daniel James, I mean, this whole United side really thrives when they are given space. We've kind of seen Leeds, obviously, they play a very dangerous game and they can leave pockets. And then against Southampton, obviously, with 2 men down, you can't cover everyone. And so then, that's where United thrive most, because when they're given the space, they can use their pace and they can attack. So, Daniel James especially, we know him, he's a headless chicken at times. So yeah, I think Newcastle did well to kind of reduce his chances. I mean, just putting a man on him, as you can tell, like, you know, if Mason's in that position, he takes the defender 1v1, but Daniel James kind of puts his back to goal and looks for like Juan Bissaka or Bruno Fernandes or someone. So I think in that aspect, I'd like to see Daniel James kind of take more risks and go for it, and you know, win some penalties. You know?
He had a nice dribbler too where he was pushing forward, but I think his work ethic is really impressive. Like you saw, like when he'd lose the ball, he just goes right back at it trying to win the ball back. I think that's really admirable about Daniel James. He's just a really strong, pacey winger, and he's willing to put his body on the line. But
I think strong is the right
okay,
word,
not strong, but like he's he's
determined.
really determined. Yeah, that's a better word. And I think his and his finishing is also quite good. He was able to put it through the legs of Darlow, found himself in a good open position and didn't turn in the box. But going back to the on the left side, I think Rashford really thrived there. Luke Shaw, especially giving him some support, was able to create more chances. And obviously that goal, that was like a messy goal, and that Meg Kraft then destroyed him again and then shot near post. Like that was a pretty hard goal, like near post with barely any space. Like if it was like just a couple degrees off, it was either going straight to Darlow or going out. So I think that was a great goal by Rashford, but I still think he's not passing the ball nearly enough as he should be. He's waiting too long on the ball, and that just gives the defenders time to check back and reposition themselves.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between trusting your abilities, which Rashford, you know, he can easily take defenders one-on-one, but at the same time, it is his chance better than, you know, a teammate's chance. Like how many times have we seen like a player in the box and they could probably just, you know, from 8 yards out, just pick a corner and hit it. But yeah, I mean, his solo goal was, I mean, absolute beauty. He went from Messi to Roberto Carlos really quick. Like I didn't even realize the ball went in. Like he just sniped it straight into the bottom corner. But yeah, I mean, he has a great shot. He just needs to pick out his moments. And but I think overall United still, I mean, you kind of see when Cavani doesn't play, they're very stop and go, if that's the right way to say it. Like they'll, you know, dribble a little and then pass the ball and then they just wait, kind of, you know, or like another player will kind of run. It seems very systematic in a sense, like it's not really playing to their style or their abilities or getting in chances that favors them. So I think like United, if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, get creative, I'd be spamming that button. Yeah, I think they just need to really take their chances. I mean, you're not gonna win every single chance. I mean, look at Bruno Fernandes. Like, yeah, he scored a lot of goals, but how many times has he just yeeted the ball over the crossbar, or just absolutely scuffed it? So I think United just need to take risks, and with the amount of chances they are getting, you know, 1 out of 5 or 6 will probably be a pretty solid chance, whether it's a deflection or whether it's actually a good chance. But yeah, I think United overall just need to play more dangerously forward, not defensive.
Yeah, also adding on to that, I think there was like a real lack of off-ball runs, especially in the first half. There's literally no one was moving for the ball. It was really slow, and it's like obviously you can't get creative if you don't have men running forward. I think Luke Shaw was maybe like Luke Shaw or Fred would be the only ones that were making runs, and it's like they were just waiting for the ball to come to them and then just see what they're doing. They're not really adapting to Newcastle. They're not adapting to their opponent. They're not seeing like what to do, how to maybe pull defenders out of the way. But I think Matic did a really good job on the Daniel James goal. He didn't wait. He turned. I don't think anyone expected Nemanja Matic to turn in front of 3 defenders and pass the ball, but I think he did that. Was just a spur of the moment thing. Shouldn't have been a Bruno Fernandes assist, but got to Daniel James and he put it in the back of the net. So I think that's what they really need more. Just a lot more like decisive, like off the cuff sort of plays, not really just waiting or kind of like formulaic sort of play as you were saying before.
Yeah, isn't that how he got his assist for Rashford's goal against Leicester City? I think.
Yeah,
James crossed it and then he just kind of stuck his foot out.
Yeah. I still remember that one. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, having him in FPL, I'm not complaining at all. But yeah, as you said, off-ball runs, they're huge problem for United. I mean, it's like I don't know if it's complacency or if they just don't know how to break teams down, which obviously has been a problem. I think we saw last season how against the Big Six, who would spend more time attacking in the midfield, and then they'd use their counter-attacking pace to with the space that the opposition will give because they've pushed so far forward to then create opportunities. But then against teams like they lost to Crystal Palace, they lost to Bournemouth last season, they lost to countless bottom half teams, which they should have easily won because they don't really know how to break down teams. And Bruno Fernandes has done a major impact in that department. Like he's helped that, but they still need I don't know if it's mentoring experience or what, but I think that's still gonna take some time to probably restart United or playing fast flowing fluid passes. I think if we can get that, then I think United would be in a really good position.
Yeah, also maybe they could play obviously with Pogba out, they also are missing some creativity there, but maybe consider putting Donny van de Beek. Obviously he has a knock right now, but maybe putting Van de Beek in place of Matic or Fred, one of those holding midfielders, someone who's a bit more attacking minded than defensive minded. Maybe that could help them a bit more, but obviously DVB hasn't had the best performances these last 6 months or so. So, I mean, that's what I would do if he was in form. But what do you think you would try out instead?
I would try out Donny at right wing. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. Right now, James is in form, which is good. Mason Greenwood, he needs some confidence, and they signed the contract so that he would get confidence. But he's gonna need a goal or something to boost his confidence. How many times did I just say that word? But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, Donny's pretty versatile. He can play as a holding. He can play as a cam. I think he can play as a right winger. I'm not sure, but I mean, if it could be. I'm just thinking how would it work, like a 4-2. I'm not sure. 4-2-2 maybe or something. With Martial, Rashford up top, then Bruno, and then.
Like a 4-2-2-2. So you have 4-2-2. Yes, you have four. So here's four defensive. You have two holding, and then you have two cams left and right. A bit more wide, but not as wide as wingers. And you have two forwards up front.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. I think Bruno and Donny could be pretty. I mean, we've talked about can Bruno Pogba play together, and obviously they can. And I think Bruno Pogba and Donny van de Beek can play. There's a lot of creativity, amongst that group, and I think Ole just needs to unlock that from Donny. Obviously, playing in Eredivisie is much different than the Premier League, but I think he just needs to get accustomed.
Yeah, but at the same time, it can't take him 4 or 5 years to be unlocked like Pogba did. Honestly,
You want to move on to player ratings?
Yeah, for sure. So, for player ratings, we got starting in the back. My ratings for the defense was De Gea 6.5, Maguire 6.5, Lindelof 5.5, Shaw 7, Aaron Wan-Bissaka 6.5. So I think De Gea obviously got that one where he cleared out to Newcastle was obviously concerning, but I think he made a number of good saves. The St. Maximin one. The shot from outside the box. I don't think there was the goal that St. Maximin scored. I don't think there was that he could do much about it. I think Maguire should have left that one for De Gea to go pick up instead of just heading it back into the mixer. But I think he made a good number of saves. I think he still needs to just communicate to his defensive line better because that should have been his ball to take, not Maguire's. And then Maguire 6.5, kind of high rating, but I think he was pushing the ball forward a number of times. I think his aerial abilities have gone much better than we've seen seasons past. It doesn't seem like he's just closing his head and hitting the ball. I think he's doing better in that aspect. I still think, obviously, as a captain, he needs to be able to command his backline more. But I still think a positive game, not the best, but not the worst for him. Victor Lindelof 5.5. He was getting completely caught out back there. He couldn't really compete with the likes of Almiron or Alan St. Maximin, and Fred had to bail him out a couple of times. So I think increase his pace. Like I know it's like it's not like, like you can't just take steroids for this shit, but like you maybe just like don't commit so high up, but obviously you want to like keep someone on side. So I don't know, Lindelof, Bailly. I'm still a supporter of Bailly ahead of Lindelof, but it seems like Ole is favoring Lindelof during the Prem, so we'll have to see what happens there. Shaw 7, another good addition to his streak of form. He's getting forward pretty well, putting in some good balls. I think the lack of Cavani didn't really display his crossing ability, but I think he was getting involved pretty well on the left side, providing support for Rashford, makes some good off-ball runs for Martial that unfortunately didn't get to him. So positive from him. And I think on the other side, Wan-Bissaka 6.5 was getting in some good tackles, putting some good balls, and I think he could have done a better job offensively, but solid at the back for the most part.
Yeah, I had De Gea 6.5 as well. Maguire 6, Lindelof 5, Shaw 7, and Wan-Bissaka 6. De Gea obviously had to make a couple good saves. I think it was Alan St. Maximin where he's like in the middle of the box and De Gea made a pretty good save, and then obviously he parried it over the crossbar. I don't think he could have really done anything about the goal. I mean, there's so many players and it went pretty fast. Maguire, yeah, he has gotten better at headers, but still, I mean, he's got to put them on target. Like, he missed a close range header again. So he needs to be better in that department as well. Lindelof, as you said, yeah, he's getting burned, man. Man has no pace. Yeah, I think United are obviously linked to center backs. I think there's one from Sevilla, Canute or something.
Yeah, I heard about that.
If we can get a pacey, physical, Rio Ferdinand type center, I mean, they don't come easy now, but I think we still need to invest in a center back. I don't think Lindelof is the center back for the future. And then Shaw, obviously, he had some really good off-ball runs, and he was able to make some really good link-up play with Rashford, which is why I think stick Rashford on the left side. I mean, it kind of has a bad, not influence, but it decreases his ability as well when Rashford plays in the right wing. And then Aaron Wan-Bissaka 6, I think, as he said, he did make some good defensive tackles, but at the same time, like, offensively, it was just more so passes to Mason Greenwood, like it was training camp. So I'd like to see him cross the ball more or make some assists.
Yeah. For the midfield, I put Fred as a 7.5, Matic 7, Bruno 6.5, Martial. I'm sorry, not Martial. James 7.5, Rashford 7. I think, as I said, Fred was doing a good job being able to cover Lindelof whenever necessary, making some good tackles, putting the ball forward. Great performance from him. That shot that went over the bar, we won't talk about that too much. I think he's getting a lot more comfortable in where he is at the moment. I think he is doing pretty well. He couldn't produce a pass like he did against Sociedad, but I still think he should be there. He's not like the 55 million passer that we saw 2 years ago, just praying for the team on Twitter, actually on this pitch, doing well for the team. So positive from him, and I'm really liking what I see from him. Match on the other hand, 7. I think he was doing a brilliant job just knocking the ball around, dictating the momentum, unlike Thiago, who doesn't. That's all he does, just dictate momentum. Thumbs up. But I think he's doing a much better job than what he is, and I think he's still affirming his position there, even though he's an old man. He's still doing pretty well, and that pass was kind of like the spark that they needed United to put them ahead, and I think that pass just changed the game for them. So good from him, son. Bruno 6.5, got a goal and assist, but that was a scummy assist, scummy goal. I was hoping Rashford would take it, but no chance for that. But that fight was fun to see. I mean, you always love to see fights in football, but just lacking a bit of creativity today. It also didn't help that most of his teammates weren't making too many good runs, and I think he wasn't really Bruno. He wasn't taking the shots that he loves to take. He wasn't getting the space that he wanted. I think that really hindered his performance today. So obviously got a goal and assist. On paper, it's a good game for him, but I think he just a not an okay day okay day for the job. And then on the other hand, we had Rashford. I gave a 7, got the goal in kind of a quiet half, and that kind of sparked things up for them until they got scored on again this first half. And so I still think he needs to pass a bit more, and still like kind of unsure like of his crossing ability. We didn't really see too many crosses, but I think maybe if Cavani was there, he could have whipped in a good ball. We obviously see Shaw doing that a lot more. As I said before, has to pass way more. I think Daniel James, 7.5. I think he did a really good job today. Ran out of the defense a couple times. Was his work rate and his work ethic are very admirable. Winning the ball back as much as he can, dropping players even if it wasn't necessary. I think if he can keep up this good run of form, just maybe get a goal or assist every now and then, he'll put his mark on the United pitch and maybe put Mason out of the job. You don't know, but we'll see what happens there.
Hold up. Don't do me like that. Okay. Holding midfielders, Fred I gave 7 and Matic 6.5. Bruno 7, James 7.5, and Rashford an 8. So Fred and Matic, I think both they did provide stability and had some good forward passes. Matic unlucky to get that scuff from Bruno, which robbed him of the assist. But I think they did provide some good stability, and as you mentioned, they were able to push the ball a bit forward. Bruno, I think, on his off day he gets a goal and assist. Just Bruno things. We're not going to talk about again how poor or how cheeky that assisting goal was, but I think he's kind of like limited in a sense. I think he's like if you put him in City, I think he'd probably bag like a brace week in, week out. Like the amount of that's an exaggeration, but the amount of chances he would have at City are much higher because their off-ball movements are much better, and it's much more fluid, much more fast-paced. But I think Bruno still had a pretty good day. But I think it's fine to have an off day once in a while.
Yeah,
that's kind of expected. You can't expect them to perform every single game. Daniel James 7.5. I think it's good to see him start again and have good games. I think before it was more so, okay, our right side is just going to be dead. We're just going Rashford all the way through and through. But I think he's done well to create space at times, to dribble in behind defenders. I just think if he could maybe make some better off-ball runs, I think that would really elevate his game. Rashford, I think obviously style points for shoulder drops, but he needs to, as I said, pass more. I think his role has kind of changed from like a winger to more of like an inverted forward, more so like attacking in it. But I think from my perspective, I think what Rashford is trying to do is drag the defender out wide so that it creates space in the box for Martial or Bruno or something, whatever, to take a shot. But it's just like the off-ball run of Martial and Bruno not being able to do that, which kind of limits. Like, for example, the Sheffield United game, where we won 3-0 last season. Rashford, both of Martial's goals were tap-ins because, Rashford was able to bring the defender out wide and then he just, locked it in. But I think just overall, if United make better off-ball runs, I think Rashford can contribute to that significantly.
Yeah. And then up front for Anthony Martial, I had to give a 5.5. I think he's still getting kind of accustomed to that forward position. Not accustomed. He's just I think he's just lost his feet. He was able to hold up the ball quite well at times, but again, just not getting the distribution in from Bruno today. Not getting shots on. The one shot he had on target was from outside the box, and it was kind of from where you'd expect Rashford to take a shot. So he is struggling to get balls in the box, struggling to finish. How many times do we see the ball even be near the penalty circle for him to shoot? So it doesn't seem like the tactics are working for Martial. I don't know. Maybe Ole wants him to play like Giroud in 2018 World Cup, not score any goals, but being able to hold up the ball, and
0 touches in.
okay, but being able to hold up the ball and let like the guys like Mbappe, aka Rashford, take on the shot. But even then, it's not working when you have so many men back. So it's kind of concerning. Like, what do they want to do with him? Because he obviously thrived off that quick ball forward and then counter attack, and they weren't able to counter attack today with a backline that stayed back so long.
Yeah, I think I give Martial a 5, but I think restart Martial was obviously much different than Martial before that, in between 1920. And I think that's mainly because of the work ethic. I mean, in the restart, he was running back, winning headers, and then he'd score goals. I think his work ethic has massively decreased. Like, you saw him, like, he was standing, kind of just waiting for the ball to come. I think, if United are going to be better, and if they're going to try to contend for the title, they need to press harder. It's more so one person just pressing, the other one just kind of running. Like, it has to be a team approach. Like, if one player messes up the press, then it won't work. Which is why I think Martial just needs to be more aware, I guess, of the situation, and he just needs to work harder for his goals.
But exciting news today about the 88th minute Shortire comes on, making his United debut, comes on for Rashford. So exciting stuff for this is the future of United. Ahmad Diallo, Shortire, and Rashford, Daniel James. This is kind of like the old... Yeah. Shut up. But this is the future of United, and it's kind of exciting that we're seeing unfold in our eyes. Obviously, we're going to be witnessing the future every year, but it's exciting, and we're hopeful to see what he can do maybe in the FA Cup ties and Europa League. So he's young as hell, freaking 2004. Feb 2nd, 2004. Younger than me as well, so that's kind of nuts. But yeah, that's exciting news for himself and his family. Let's hope he can keep it up. So in the Premier League, just in general, we saw yesterday, Everton in the Merseyside derby winning since this is the first time they've 99. Was it at home that they beat Liverpool at home since 1999? Gylfi Sigurdsson penalty. What do you think about it? I thought it was a bit soft for the most part.
Yeah, I don't really think it was it was a pen, but at the same time, did Everton deserve to win that game?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, Liverpool are never going to win. They had a couple chances here and there. Pickford, I think, played brilliant. Prime Neuer at times. But I think otherwise, Everton were in control of the game. I mean, I think with James Rodriguez back, they've been playing well. And obviously, the first couple of weeks when Everton fans probably thought they were going to win the title.
It was a tall order, but like where Everton are right now, I think it's positive for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've scored. They're scoring week in, week out, which is good, and they are improving, I think. And I think Ancelotti's been doing a great job. The Scholars can suck it. And
then on the other side of things, Jay Lings has been enjoying himself, and West Ham's getting a 47th minute goal to put them up 2-0 against Tottenham. I mean,
3 goals and 1 assist in 4 games.
That's impressive. I mean, for a team that's like popping for West Ham, maybe that was right for him. I don't think United he would have had a chance to break through. But
3 goals, he has 1 bench.
But he's doing well. It's nice to see him, but then it's also fun to see Spurs do poorly. I mean, when's it not fun to watch Spurs?
How can you not like watching Spurs choke? I mean, it's Spurs. I think we have to solidify West Ham as the best London team now.
Yeah, especially with Arsenal losing to City, getting scored on the first 90 seconds.
I mean, how do they only lose 1-0? Like, that's kind of...
Yeah, that was kind of... I was banking on all my City players just kind of beats for me in FPL. Kind of disappointing, but...
I was like kind of like optimistic, maybe Alba bangs him and maybe gets a bonus point or 2, but that didn't happen.
Misses a hat-trick of tap-ins in Europa League.
Yeah, that was...
It's done.
One game wonder.
Yeah, but Next up is Chelsea on the Feb 28th.
No, Real Sociedad.
Oh yeah, right. They're
Second
like,
leg,
when
yeah.
is that?
25th Feb. Sorry, Thursday.
Oh, crap.
Thursday.
That's so they're about a 4 days turnaround.
I mean, they're up 4-0.
Yeah.
I hope short here.
Maybe he starts. Yeah, like I mean they don't. I mean
They're not gonna choke a 4-0 lead.
Remontada.
Remontada.
You never know. Like I mean, I still think they should play their main back line. Obviously, put Bai in as well as Dino. But I also think they should give Shortier and Amadiel a start. Still play Rashford and Daniel James, but maybe put Rashford up front.
I'd like to see Tuanzebe. I'd like maybe even Brandon Williams. I think Shaw. I mean, obviously with Chelsea coming, I'd like to see Shaw get a rest. Just to be
Yeah,
safe.
that too. I'm gonna say, I think they're gonna lose this one, 2-1. No, damn. I'm gonna say, no. I think they're gonna lose this one 2-1. I think they're gonna give their guys a break, rest, and without they will play Bruno though. They can't not play Bruno. You know what? 2-1 United. I think. No. Crap. 2-1
Pick
United.
a score.
2-1 United. 2-1 United.
I'm gonna go. Well, I mean, we've had United score 7 goals in the past 2 games, so obviously this has to be a boring game. That's just the law of United. So I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win for United.
They Sociedad just did beat Alaves 4-0 today. Alexander Isak got his hat trick. So
Yeah. Okay. So did Barca.
yeah, shut up. So yeah, we don't talk about what happened today. Just long way out. That's for sure.
Bruno took a penalty.
Yeah. So that was our coverage of the match against Newcastle. They won 3-1.
3-1.
And so next up is Sociedad on Thursday. I've gone for a 2-1, and you've gone for a
1-0 United.
Yep. So thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you around later.